9:19 the time, and a very good morning, everyone. Great to have you with us as always. My name is Randall White. You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network, and I am joined by my co-host and partner in crime, the lovely and talented Patty Piper. Good morning, Patty.
Good morning.
So one thing about Patty that I can tell you, I've known her for many years now, is she loves to host a dinner party.
This is true.
And so do I. And the two of us, it's like a back and forth. Is it going to be at our house? Is it going to be at your house? And each one has, varying reasons why it might be good or bad. Mm-hmm. The great thing is our dogs get along.
That is a plus.
Right.
Yes.
So we can mix the dogs together.
Yes. And they get their dog dinner party, and we get our big people dinner party.
But as you know, all of you listening, that throwing a dinner party can kind of be a pain sometimes, and expensive too, depending on what you're serving.
Patty, and a lot of work.
Yeah, Patty typically serves up an entire side of beef that she has brought in by the local butcher shop. I've never seen so many giant chunks of whatever it might be being thrown on the barbecue. Ricardo and I tend to do things more in both cases we always go family style, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But Ricardo and I like to do sort of the small plates thing, leaning more toward our topic for this segment, which is throwing a home tasting party.
I love it.
Right. Our guest who joins us right now has a very extensive resume. Dina Cheney, you've probably seen her work in one place or another, including, if you're a fan of Rachel Ray, she writes the Taste Test column for Everyday with Rachel Ray and joins us right now. Dina, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to meet you guys.
Thank you for being with us this morning. We certainly appreciate it. And so you are a big fan of throwing a tasting party as opposed to a dinner party. Why?
For so many reasons. I mean, first of all, you were mentioning earlier, it's a lot easier than hosting a dinner party. I mean, there's no cooking, there's no cleanup. It's also a lot less expensive, I mean, it can be, especially if you host something like an apple tasting or even a chocolate tasting, it's really inexpensive. I went through an apple tasting. I think it cost me like $11 for like 6 to 8 people. I mean, it's really cheap.
And now's the time of year to do that. We're getting into apple season,
That's
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
And the other reason, there are a lot of other reasons. What else is fun about it? They're very novel. They're very different. So, dinner parties are great. We all love to sit down and break bread together, but it's kind of fun to do something different. And they're also very educational and fun and really good icebreakers, and you really learn about your fellow diners. So it's really a bonding experience.
That's really interesting. This is a total new one for me, but I love the idea. I guess this really lets you also explore options of something that you maybe wouldn't,
Exactly.
I wouldn't buy 10 or 12 different brands of apples normally.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, for instance, if you don't know, what kind of cheese you like, or even you assume you always prefer milk chocolate, but maybe once you try dark chocolate, you'll say, I prefer 70%, cacao content chocolate. I mean, you learn about yourself and what you like.
I can't hear the word cacao without thinking of Portlandia. I don't know if you watch that show.
I don't. But I bet someone has a chocolate company, though. It's a trendy thing these days, right?
There are people listening right now who do watch that, and they know exactly what I'm talking about. Cacao.
Cacao.
There's so many different types of chocolate. You can get chocolates with jalapeno peppers in them now.
Right.
You name it. They mix them together. What a great idea. So it moves from the realm of being just a dinner party to almost to an educational experience.
Exactly. That's why I love it. I mean, obviously I'm a food writer, so I love food. I love to learn, and it's just kind of neat to be like a student again, but not in like a kind of stiff schoolmarmy way, but in a fun, very sensual, pleasurable way. So it's just a great way to learn, a fun way to learn.
So you've mentioned chocolate. That's an obvious one.
Yes,
Chocolate,
definitely.
Apples, cheese. What are some other ideas you can give us? What else can we taste?
Something maybe people hadn't thought of, like, a tasting party surrounding.
Okay, well, seriously, the sky is the limit. I mean, you could even, your favorite local, you could try a pizza from, local pizzerias and pick your favorites.
I love it.
Things like coffee, even salt you could do. In the book Tasting Club that I wrote a few years ago, that book, I think I have 10 chapters, and I did balsamic vinegar, extra virgin olive oil. I love tea tastings. Those are really fun. So it really depends, cured meats, bacon. You could have a bacon tasting. Everyone loves bacon. So really, even heirloom tomatoes in the summer. So it's really kind of honestly, whatever you're interested in learning more about.
And it could vary depending on the time of day you're throwing the party.
Yes.
If you're having people over for like early, late morning sort of thing, you might go around the coffee, like you said, coffee or tea, those sorts of things. How specific do you want to get with the tastings? Like, do you want people to fill out charts, where they're giving you
Get their feedback?
Yeah, get their feedback, or because sometimes, especially if we did a tasting just the other night of this new gluten-free omission beer, and I really did want to be scientific about it because I wanted people to be able to tell me whether or not they could tell which one was the beer that had no gluten in it, and so I was like filling out things and checking boxes and stuff
right.
How technical do you want to get?
I mean, yeah, it's funny because you mentioned, I write a taste test column for Every Day with Rachel Ray, and there we have grids, and because we're trying to pick the best products. I think for an at-home tasting, it's totally up to you and your crowd. So if you have a lot of lawyers or people who are very analytical, that kind of group would probably love grids and taking notes. And the good thing about writing things down is that it helps you kind of focus and really deep taste and really have really experience what you're tasting, and then you can remember it later on. Like you bring the sheet home with you, and then you'll be like, oh, I really loved this particular chocolate, and this is why, and you'll remember, you'll know what to buy. But it's seriously, if your crowd is sort of they're more partiers, they just want to have fun, or you know what I mean? They want to kind of
degenerates quickly, and you'll never get people to fill out the forms the way they're supposed to.
Exactly.
Now, just quickly, Dina, we were mentioning the sky's the limit when it comes to what you can be sampling, but I would imagine the time for throwing a tasting party as opposed to, say, a dinner or a lunch party shouldn't coincide with lunchtime and dinner time, right? Because people want more at that point.
They would be expecting a meal.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's such a complicated. That's a great point. You can do tastings a million different ways. You can incorporate a meal into a tasting if you want. Like you always could have serve sandwiches at a wine tasting. You could do that if you wanted. But yeah, most tastings, what I would do is I would encourage people when you invite them, say eat a salad or eat a light meal first, and then come over. Let your guests know what to expect, so they won't be hungry. Because if people are hungry, they won't be able to focus and enjoy the tasting. A fun thing too is if, let's say, you're doing like a dessert wine tasting, people would already have eaten, and then you could just serve cake alongside the dessert wine. So it really, again, is it's very flexible. It's a very flexible medium or way of entertaining, and so however you want to do it, just give your guests the information so they know they can prepare themselves.
It sounds really fun. Now, I'm curious, Dina, have you ever thought of a tasting as like a potluck event? Bring your favorite chocolate, bring your favorite apple.
Good one.
Yeah, and that's a really good question. It's also a way to kind of cut the cost per person, and definitely, I mean, that's a great idea. And you could really do that with any of the tastings. The only thing I would say is, you don't want to have this, 2 of one sample, right?
So everyone bringing the same.
Maybe just coordinate and say, hey, what's everyone bringing? Just like you would with a potluck dinner and say, okay, you bring the salad, you bring the dessert, kind of coordinate. But I think that's a wonderful idea. Another way to learn about each other.
Ooh, I want to have a macaroni and cheese tasting.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Yeah.
And that's good for kids, too. That would be great for kids, too.
Wouldn't that be?
Yeah.
Right. And nowadays they have all different types of pasta, brown rice, and also even quinoa pasta for people that are...
To really experiment.
Oh, wait, can I give you guys one tip, though? Because I've had to do pasta tastings for Rachel Ray. Make sure whatever you choose, it's not too difficult. Like, you don't want to be boiling pasta, like 10 different pastas at the last minute. Make it easy for yourself. Make it trust
Good
me. I've
point.
had to serve 25 pastas in one night, and it was not fun.
Oh,
so
gosh.
just make sure it's not stressful. The whole point is you want to have fun and be relaxed.
Dina, we only have about 30 seconds left,
sure.
and I should have asked you prior to all of this, but I'm just curious, how did you become a tasting expert? You know what I mean? Like, there's some people fall into different categories. You've become like the expert on sampling.
Gosh, I mean, I have a good palate. I'm a recipe developer, food writer. I did professional chocolate tastings for companies. Started writing the column for Rachel Ray, and it sort of spread into the book tasting club, and
I love it.
It's gone from there.
Well, I got to tell you, your website's fun. You're fun. We need to have you back on again. DinaCheney.com. It's that easy. D-I-N-A and then Cheney, just like the former vice president.
But we're not related.
But no relationship, I've been told. Hey, Dina, thank you so much. We'll have you on again sometime soon, okay?
My pleasure. Good talking to you guys.
Stick around, everyone. Make your own beer and then have a tasting party.
There
We'll
you
talk
go.
about that next.